cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul is awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Well, good day to you, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Program, a show which stands for love, levity, and liberty, because after all, love is the greatest power everywhere, and laughter's the best medicine, especially covering serious topics and all matters ancient, current, quantum, and tachyon, right? Absolutely. It's a mantra. Our mascot, the Bling Buddha, he fully subscribes to it as he fires red pills from his 6 Hour 9 mil. And I am your host, Brad Wozni. I am grateful to you, divine lions and lionesses, for tuning in. I served my country at the federal level as a Canadian infantry soldier. I served it at the provincial level as a wildfire ranger, leaping out of helicopters to fight forest fires. I have been part of the corporate rat race where shortly after the 3 World Trade Center towers collapsed in their footprint, I stood at ground zero as rescue efforts went on. Then I was walking the halls of the Pentagon 72 hours later and also 18 stories below it. Well, now I'm fortunate to become a Reiki master in 2015, and by leveraging the infinite source of the cosmic and our creator's power, I'm following my soul's purpose in this incarnation, which is to help uplift humanity's consciousness with song and story and save the children. With that stated, we have an incredible show here for you today with my returning guest, Kevin Hoyt, running for independent, running for governor of Vermont right now. He is also a Huna. Before we get started with Kevin, as we're picking up from our last show on tachyon energy, Tesla technology, some of the great things he has going on, ready to unleash for the Vermonters in the state of Vermont and help the economy get going. I've got to share this with you. Due to the extreme censorship, we've just lost another Instagram channel, and I had another video banned on YouTube, had a podcast pulled off of Spotify. So please subscribe to our Telegram at The Sovereign Soul Show, and also on our Rumble channel at The Sovereign Soul. Now, I'm all about saving the kids, and so is my next guest. Before Kevin and I pick up and reintroduce him, we are going to go to a quick word from the rootbrands.com and discuss how their all-natural Trinity pack is, from what I've been seeing and using, is absolutely the best natural supplementation to reverse the poison in those jabs and protect the children and the babies from the shedding, which multiple doctors and scientific reports in the dozens, if not hundreds, have proven. So it's basically like wearing the armor of God. They become limitless and virtually unstoppable. It's the world's first quantum pharmaceutical as well. So here's more about the all-natural Trinity pack to help save the kids from therootbrands.com.
If you're looking for groundbreaking nutritional products that revolutionize the way your body operates, you have to check out this cutting-edge nutrition brand, Root. The Trinity Pack Plus is a game changer. Let me show you. Zero In is the world's first quantum pharmaceutical, an all-natural adaptogenic nootropic that skyrockets clarity and creativity. Restore is a supplement that completely restores your gut health and optimizes your true brain. And last but not least, Clean Slate sweeps out heavy metals, including graphene oxide, gently evacuating toxins from the body to increase performance, longevity, and quality of life. Register now at therootsbrand.com/soul to get your Trinity Pack Plus
and to learn more about the Sovereign Soul Show's mission to save 100 million children
and how to get rewarded for being a part of the Root community. See you there.
All right, and we're back. Kevin, it is an absolute honor, my friend. Thank you very much for coming back on the program. I mean, you are literally the citizen soldier who has stood up. For those who don't know your backstory, you're running a successful television show, The Future of Hunting. You turned down a multi-million dollar contract from NBC Broadcasting Corporation because you saw the nasty stuff that was going on in the state of Vermont. You've now been part of providing evidence in a RICO case against government officials, to law enforcement, to administrators, all the way at local levels, who are we're finding out big time, are involved in election fraud and child trafficking and other types of trafficking, which is quite disgusting. The cool thing as well, I believe, too, is you're one of those citizen soldiers, like you like to say, mate, just a deer hunter from Vermont who's standing up, taking notice, became a Huna just in the last few months, and really opened your eyes to the spiritual world and the spiritual war and the spiritual terrorism being fought and unleashed upon us on a global level, on our cellular level. And man, we had an incredible show the last time. What have you been up to, my friend?
Man, chaos as always. Again, running for governor, I've been very busy back and forth across Vermont state. We're a small state, about 3 hours diagonal, but I've been covering it all over. Again, I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time, tracking down these corrupt, dirty politicians. We just had an event this last weekend, actually Saturday, at Thunder Road International Speedway, where again my governor, my current incumbent, Governor Phil Scott, is an actual race car driver. This is what this guy did as a hobby and pastime, and you would think that he would show up at this event. We had a cow chip competition where we actually threw cow chips. How Vermonty is this? You throw it in a target, and it's an annual thing. It's a big event. It's a lot of fun, actually. But once again, the top Democrat and the top Republican failed to show up for the people. I was there. Whenever I'm there, they're not there. They cancel, and I think we all know why at this point, right? Hashtag RICO. Those are some of the things you're talking about, from money laundering, human trafficking, drug trafficking, racketeering. We've all been racketeered on a giant level, so we're taking that all down. Events coming up. We got a whole bunch of Huna stuff going on that I'm not really going to talk about right now. This weekend we've got a thing going with Louis Herms. We're going to go to Boston. I'm a speaker. In fact, Lisa Schermerhorn, who is another international best-selling author, not international, New York Times best-selling author, and every belief is a lie. It's an incredible book about how we're programmed. She's another Vermonter. I'm going down there to talk with Louis. I'm excited about that. The tachyon energy thing is awesome. In fact, we can get a little more into where we're going to go as far as Vermont state. And in the intro, you talked about how we're going to take care of Vermonters and our economy and jobs. It's a whole lot bigger than that. We've got stuff ready for the world. Again, we're talking about air technology, air power, everything from your firearms to your car to your home, right? This is the beginning of free energy. We're talking about Nikola Tesla. This is tachyon energy that we're talking about. And we've gone from this fantasy where we've talked about it for years, and we all heard about it, to, I'm in touch with the developers, the manufacturers and patent holders. We're going to bring them to Vermont. We're going to make this. We're going to develop this, and we're going to, set it out to the world, along with a whole bunch of hemp products. And we got some exciting things going on. I wish I could be riding around on my motorcycle with Kate Rains like you, right? You've been riding around, and it looks like you're having a lot of fun. I'm kind of jealous. Deer season here in Vermont state, so not that I wasn't busy enough. That's my passion and my relaxation. So I spent a lot of time. This last weekend was the opening weekend of bow season.
It's amazing. And you got a buck.
We got a couple deer. We just got a bear. We got some. It's turkey season too. It's a great time to be outside, and a lot of people misunderstand that too. They think because I'm a hunter, I don't like animals, but I'm the biggest animal lover that you're ever going to meet. I've dedicated the last, almost 4 decades of my life to conservation. I'm a conservation educator, and the science behind conservation. It's a lot more than just, the food. Again, pure, natural, health, wholesome, real food. Get from this. There's a whole bunch of other things. In the spiritual piece is a big one. I'm glad you brought that up, actually, Brad, because a lot of people, especially politicians, they're missing that spiritual piece. I believe I had it, and I'm not afraid to say it's new to me. I did just become a Huna. A lot of people don't know what that is. It's kind of like a spiritual shaman, right? One light in many, many lights in one. It's a cultural. I don't even know how to describe it again, other than spiritual shaman, I think is the best way to do it. You go back to these ancient cultures, ancient languages, trying to figure out where we come from, where we're going. And it's a whole lot different than the story we've been told.
Well, it's also a form of energy healing, and it's also the connection of the cosmos with Earth. And the Hunas, they trace their lineage. Many people are familiar of the Hawaiian Hunas and the big Kahuna. Kahuna means wave, right? And the big wave. But all this goes all the way back to New Zealand, the times of the Oceania continent, not oceanic, a continent. So for many, many millennia at minimum, could be potentially millions of years, this is a spiritual, energetic practice, which just extremely like and I was FaceTiming with Huna Flash, Kate, myself. I mean, we've got two Canadians, right, who wanted to become F-18 pilots in Canada. And, we're both Royal Canadian Air Cadets, and that, we're rocking on the motorcycle.
I love the picture with you guys kicking your feet. You're so Canadian. It made me giggle, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's so cool. It's so cool. And she's a Huna, and you've had a great opportunity to meet and spend time with her. And as Huna Flash is saying, he had shared with us that he had spent almost 30 years traveling around North America and living among the indigenous cultures, whether it was the Apache, the Ojibwa, the Navajo, you name it, and embracing and learning from one another. So there's that connection with the land and the balance and the conservation. This is what Mama Nature, Pachamama, the time I spent in Peru, which is where this stone is from, the bottom of the Amazon River at the base of Machu Picchu. And I spent a number of days traveling through, hiking, camping in the rainforest. It was just beautiful, spending time with shaman, Puma shaman down there. Many people know him. He's now on Gaia channel. And this was like 15, 20 years ago. And the connection and conservation with land is so key. What's also interesting is you can call in things in deep meditation, which is now proven in quantum science. So the bridge between the magical, the esoteric, the spiritual is literally being quantified and qualified by science. So I don't see there being a distinction that one is separate than the other. And we have some amazing video I can't wait to share with you, Kev, that has come out in the last 2 days. You're going to hear these guys. They're like, Texans, who just sound like they're cowboys off the back of a pickup truck horse way out there. And we're watching amazing plasma and tachyon energy. And to build upon the real people, right? This isn't, I mean, again, everybody use your discernment, right? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, approach this with an open mind. But there are technologies, you go back to Tesla, where you had free energy, you're harnessing the free energy of the atmosphere of the earth, yet obviously there wasn't money to be made in free, is there? And what you're going to hear from Kevin here in the next little bit on this show is about free energy to power your car, your motorcycles, your home, heat and cool your home with air, as well as weapons that are firing rounds with air. You don't have explosives that come back at you with lead and you're covered in lead and corrosive and it makes big bangs and has any recoil. So there's amazing things that have been hidden, suppressed from us or removed from our society so that we have to become dependent. Now we're becoming independent. We're waking up to this. And I think that's a really nice thing to jump into here, Kevin, and jump into the tachyon and work back into the tachyon, the plasma, and what you've got in store for both Vermonters and how that is literally going to help the world and change our economy, help drive change in the economy, both from a cleaner standpoint, from an incredible economic standpoint, and literally revolutionize industries, entire industries revolutionized with what you've got cooking right now. And I'm so excited.
We do. Another big one before we get into tachyon even is hemp and the power of hemp.
Yeah.
And we're going to, again, I've already spoken with manufacturers that are lined up and we're ready to go. We're ready to do this. And it's instant jobs on a whole bunch of level, but it's kind of scary too. Yeah. Again, Vermont, we're heavily wooded. There's a lot of loggers here. Right. We got a lot of logger friends too, right? We're talking about making lumber without cutting down any more trees. So again, for the planet, for the environment, everybody's like, yeah, there's a whole lot of loggers that just heard that and went, whoa, wait a minute, Kev. You just took me out of a job, right? Now, the reality is there's still people that are going to want to burn wood. There's still people that are going to want, actual wood furniture, right? So I don't think we're cutting them out, but the amount of jobs and economic growth and development that come with it, there's going to be lots of jobs and lots of things for people to do. And I'm excited about that. I mean, the lumber that we're talking about, construction industry in general, but the lumber is 20 times lighter, 20 times stronger, 20 times more fire retardant. It's kind of a no-brainer. And
Totally.
this stuff literally grows like a weed. So it's cheap as hell.
Yeah.
We got a lot of it here in Vermont State. We had a lot of farmers transition over. I got two plans for farmers here in Vermont. One is the original use food.
Yep.
Talking about grass-fed, pasture-raised, organic, healthy, wholesome food again. Vermont farms are going to shine at that. And then the other one is hemp. We just legalized it here a couple years ago. So now a lot of farmers switched over to grow hemp. The problem was they got a whole, they got barns full of hemp now. Nothing to do with it. We're missing that manufacturing piece. So I want to bring that in. Should be really exciting news for the farmers. But again, not just rope and paper and lumber, and they're making airplanes out of hemp now. It's lighter than
Canada.
Stronger than steel. That's right. A couple of Canadians up there, eh?
That's right. Exactly.
And it's,
You're going out and about for a flight, just out for a rip, eh? Oh, geez.
Right.
So I got my hat on.
It's unbelievable stuff. And again, no wonder this has been suppressed. What does this do to the?
Well, it used to be legal, right? The founding fathers of the nation of the United States, they were growing hemp. They, and you look at that, Alexander Jackson, all the way to Abraham Lincoln, and so many others, including Lee Dundas's great-great-great-grandfather, Patrick Henry, who said, give me freedom, give me liberty, or give me death. Right. And she's actually going to be back on in a few days here with an update from Freedom Fighter Nation. So really cool stuff. And by the way, something cool that you don't know as we're touching on this is I grew up in a lumber family. So my father was the guy who opened the Eastern Spruce Pine Fir Market for Canada into the United States. And he was the first, or one of the first, but the largest lumber wholesaler out of Ontario. So I remember as a kid, there were times I would accompany him. We would go up to the mills in Northern Ontario and Northern Quebec. Right. And it would be all different times of the year. We go 4 times a year each season, because that's where he was sourcing it and buying it wholesale, brought it to our lumber yard that we had, Wozni Forest Products lumber yard, remanufacture it, cut it down, saws, whatever, bundle it up, throw it onto the 18-wheeler trucks, and they go across the border, typically at Detroit and Windsor, right? The Detroit-Windsor border, or Sarnia, into the States. The primary market was Michigan, but he sold all the way down the Eastern Seaboard into Florida, especially hurricane season. Now, here's the thing, folks. So having been a kid who grew up in the lumber industry, whose parents, you've all heard me, they went bankrupt. I couldn't go to NYU Film School because of what Clintons did in locking down the economy when he was in office. Well, I can tell you, when I've looked at hempcrete and hemp products, which were brought to me for investment in the early 2000s, porous hempcrete, concrete. Imagine the power of that to both naturally keep your home warm in the wintertime and naturally cool it in the summertime. The same thing with hemp fiber products, which are, like you just heard from Kevin, 20 times stronger and up to 20 times lighter, which you're building the home in the home, right? And this is grown renewable. And in addition to that, I spent time with, I was fortunate to spend time with Willie Nelson a number of years ago at the Hollywood Bowl, before a concert and after a concert. And I didn't spend much time on his bus because it was completely like Cheech and Chong smoked out. And Willie was big on the hemp and the biodiesel as well. And we've seen, cars run on hemp and biodiesel and whatnot and air. So this is really key to understand. This is not a displacement of people like loggers in the backwoods that are driving the skidder drivers, okay? Because again, I spent all the way up until the time I went in the Army, my entire life was the lumber industry. I was a lumber kid, I'd worked at the lumber yard, all of that stuff. And then I went to the Army at 18. So folks, this is a chance to go into another position, and at least even in the families, if you're up in the bush and you're logging in Vermont, Minnesota, Quebec, Canada, they go off, Kev, to lumber camps for 4 to 5 months. Right. Typically it's in the wintertime, right? Because it's the easiest way to get in, to take all the skidders, the ground's frozen, so it can take the weight of the heavy machinery, go in, harvest the lumber, harvest the wood, and then they wait till it thaws, and maybe they'll go back in the summertime with, mosquito. They would say, mosquito is big enough to F you flat-footed, and for the grandmas that watch our show, I want to be a little bit mindful, right? They're massive up there. 3 mosquitoes land on you, they can pick you up and take you away. They're the size of a turkey buzzard. So just imagine now they're around their family more, and they have an opportunity to make more money in a renewable resource or product, or maybe they were in lumber and doing this stuff, but they want to do other stuff, right? It's really incredible. It's really
Well,
exciting.
I support loggers. I mean, I got to say
Yeah.
that just from, again, a conservation standpoint,
Yeah.
from an environmental standpoint, right? We're talking about the ecology of Vermont state.
Right.
Our natural renewable resources are important. These
Yes.
habitats, our wildlife, and it's the natural succession is normal. You don't want a whole bunch
Sure.
of old hard growth trees either. So
Yeah.
I'm pro logger. We're gonna have to, again, it's a harvest. If you don't harvest those giant oak trees, they're going to fall down and die and rot, and it clutters up our forest fires, clutters up our wilderness areas.
I got experience
So,
in that too. Yeah.
exactly. So again, these are all things that have to be
Sometimes we
managed.
set prescribed burns because
don't want
you had to actually renew it. Yeah.
Right.
Prescribed
You
burns.
talk about the history of this. Again, the very first American flag sewn by Betsy Roth. It's in the Bennington Museum, actually,
Yeah.
right in my hometown.
Wow, really? No kidding, eh? Wow.
Made out of hemp. And there's
Wow.
another big one. We should mention another company. They're called
Sure.
Apex Armor, AAPEX Armor. And this is a fantastic group. I've got these guys lined up. If elected, I want to bring these guys in instantly to manufacture armor,
Yeah.
right, out of hemp. And they've got some incredible armor right now. And this is in development.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say in development. It's not released to the market yet.
Right.
But this is going to be a new thing. We're literally making armor. You talked about the strength of this stuff.
Yeah.
And even in planes, it's lighter than aluminum, stronger than steel. If a Canadian goose, right, one of your geese from up there, hit one of our planes, it's literally disastrous. It'll take out that aluminum plane. You can't do that with hemp. And here we are again making armor out of hemp. What an incredible product. This is an incredible group. She's actually Native American. She's based in Colorado right there with you right now, but she's opening up manufacturers all over. I believe they got a manufacturer opening up in New Hampshire, which is our sister state. The Vermonters just a little upside down. And so I'm interested in bringing these jobs to Vermont state with at least the armor products, but all these other things too. Like I said, rope, paper, cloth, sneakers. You go back to the spiritual connection of touching Mother Earth, grounding. Just told you this weekend was the opening of hunting season here in Vermont state. So I did a lot of grounding. Literally, that's outside. And what I always tell people, it's important to take your shoes off. It's a little hard during hunting season, but all of the soles, key words, right? The soles of our feet
absolutely
aren't allowed to touch with Mother Earth anymore. They've all been coated with rubber soles. We're not allowed to connect. So we can make sneakers out of hemp. We can. And then we talk about long time lasting stuff. This stuff is indestructible. The hempcrete you're talking about, very, very, and that's really my focus is on the construction industry. We got lots of other things too. I got a way out of the opioid crisis. It's jobs, all about economic growth and development. So I'm excited about bringing that again, not just to Vermont, but to the world. And
a lot of it can be driven out of Vermont. And here's the thing too, it takes an innovative leader to allow these to go forward. I remember the company was in Texas, the Hempcrete company we're looking to invest in the early 2000s. And they had to go through so many hurdles for all these new compliance standards for hempcrete. And I remember the video, the sizzle reel, even I filmed the TV, the sizzle reel was, we're trying to burn it. It won't burn. They have the fire department, I believe it was Dallas, I might be a little out of that. They had off-duty firefighters, but they rented the space where they do the firefighter training. And Kevin, they couldn't burn the concrete. Right. And then they put it into just like, the SIG weapons, right? They test the Rattler and the MCX. Obviously, I'm a SIG guy for the most part. And they put them in and it's like down to 500 degree below temperatures. And then they go with a sledgehammer. And you would think, because concrete shatters at certain temperatures, the hempcrete didn't. So you've got all this visible proof, as well as that doesn't hurt the environment, but it wasn't able to move forward. Wonder why, right? In that innovative leadership in this new economy where somebody such as yourself with that incredible mindset who represents we the people of Vermont and we the souls, sovereign souls of this world, this planet, going, here's what we're talking about doing. This is ushering in new original technologies have been there for a while, but they're new for the world because this has been hidden, suppressed, and oppressed because there are a certain small little faction of the corporate industrial demonic complex, from my experience, for the most part, that just, don't want you to be there. Right.
You nailed it. You nailed it 100%. In fact, the air power that we're talking about, and literally, we're talking about putting some of these engines maybe in some NASCARs. These are real engines that run just as good as any gas-powered engine, but they run on air. You have a generator you plug your house into for 25 years. It runs on air, guys. This is the basic beginning of that free energy that we talked about. And the truth here, you notice I haven't mentioned any names. I can't say no names. I can't say businesses. I can't say anything. The problem with these people when you're in this situation, usually there's two things. Money is a big one. A lot of it, and they need the development and the research to be able to manufacture it. In this case, money's not, well, I don't want to say it's not an issue. He's looking for investors always, right?
Right.
But the money's there, the manufacturing there, the development's there. These people want to kill him. That's the problem. The only problem left is this gentleman.
It's a threat there.
Millions of, there's lots of other people like this guy. They got incredible technology, but the government's not working with them. They can't release this, or the government again kills them. We've all heard of this. These technologies released, it's bought up and buried, or the new inventor just mysteriously vanishes off the face of the planet. So that's the difference. Is Kevin Hoyt, governor of Vermont State, because I'm willing to work with these people because this is a better, cheaper, smarter world. And it's the people, when we realize, again, big corporate, big politics, big pharma, it's the same company, right? It's the same company, man. So that's why this stuff has been suppressed for so long. And I'm ready to release this on the world. I am ready to do this. I think it's time to do this. And we've heard about all these patents, all these technologies that are going to be released, right? And let's go to air guns. We can talk about that too. I think
you're on air, so I figured I'd make this one a funny segue, but still on point, right?
It is. This is the power of air with your rifle. That's actually made in South Korea. That is a Samyang Dragon Claw. That's my BB gun. And it's not your daddy's BB gun. This is a 50 caliber, 3,000 PSI pneumatic air rifle.
Wow.
That will shoot a 300 grain round ball through your pickup truck door. I can kill deer size, animal and game out to 100 meters. Wow. So that's, again, it's a super effective weapon. And it's funny, again, let's go back in history.
And it sounds like somebody blew their nose. Achoo, done. Right. It's like whisper quiet that way.
It is. There's no ignition. There's no, no explosion at all in there. It's not actually considered a firearm at all. And the amazing part about this specific gun, not only does it shoot round balls, it shoots arrows. And it's the fastest, most powerful way to sling an arrow, which the cutting action of an arrow is a lot more lethal than that of a bullet. So when I shoot your pickup truck with an arrow, I actually get a pass through. It'll go through both doors of a pickup truck. It's incredible. It's got enough kinetic energy where I can hunt rhino and elephant with my BB gun, with air, okay? And when we talk about technologies and where this goes back to Lewis and Clark. I love this story. This is how Lewis and Clark made it.
Very cool history here.
It is. It was, they used a lie. Back then, they knew the Indians didn't get along with the white men back then. We're in the middle of full chaos, right? And here's this little tiny party that managed to go across the entire, Northwest United States and map it out. Pretty incredible story to start with. And a lot of people might ask, how did they do that? How did they possibly survive? And they had two Indian guides. One would stay with the crew and basically guard them, and the other one would ride off ahead, and they take turns. They go to the Indian village up ahead, and they say, hey, we got a bunch of white guys coming in with a gun show. So, that Lewis and Clark would show up, and they had a few Annie Oakley type where they're shooting, trick shots and stuff. But then they pulled out this air gun, this automatic air gun,
Yeah.
right? So again, back then Indians knew what a muzzle loader was, but they also knew I got one shot and it became a club, right? They never seen anything like this, and specifically they used fruit just for the drama, the explosive effect of it. But Lewis and Clark would line up all this fruit in tin cans,
Yeah.
and then they would break out a automatic repeating air gun, and they would just devastate everything in a minute, everything around them, and then they put the gun away, and that was the end of the show. But the Indians never saw them have to charge the gun. They never saw them reload. They just thought every white man in this, caravan had one of them. So they left them alone, and that's how they survived. So this is old technology that we're bringing back to the forefront. And that gun that we just mentioned, again, very impressive gun, but it's made in South Korea. I want to make some of them in Vermont.
Yeah, exactly. Even reclaiming wood, and some of the wood that still needs to be logged. And by the way, though, I'm not against logging at all. It is with you. There's certain necessary. It's part of a conservation, a balance. Whether it's animals, and we're working with animals, raising them, or we're harvesting them, for our own use. Right? Does not like going out and just killing and poaching it for a rampant
for most
malevolent use. It's just
people that have a hard time with that. A great comparison is corn.
Well, I was vegan for 4 years. You know that story. Yeah.
Right. Well, we grow corn, and at the end of the year, we don't have to pick the corn. We could just let it rot. The snow will knock it down, and become fertilizer, and the bugs and the deer and everything else will eat it. So it's not wasted. It's hardly ever wasted in Mother Nature.
Yeah.
But instead, we choose to pick the corn, and then as the farmer, I can sell some corn, make a living, grow some more corn, and that's kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. Right. The same with wildlife. Because of natural reproduction, we have excess animals every year. There's only enough food, cover, and water for so many deer. That's called carrying capacity. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us to manage them. And it's not just the wildlife, but it's that critical habitat too. Mm-hmm. You really care about animals and the planet, you got to figure out what's the biggest threat. And it's not hunters, it's not regulated, people getting their food. It's human development, encroachment, habitat destruction. And the only people that are saving that are hunters. Same with the endangered species or threatened species. The only people that are saving them are the conservationists, the men and women, the sportsmen that go out there. And yes, I am a everyday part of an animal's life, and every once in a while a part of their death, but it's for the right reasons, and we utilize the whole animal, and it's done with respect and compassion. It's humane. Like I said, I think this is the, for me, when people tell me I'm not supposed to eat meat, that's weird to me, right? I've got eyes on the front of my
even
head.
Jesus, Yeshua did, the disciples,
right.
The wives did. I mean,
right.
It's part of our DNA.
The Last Supper wasn't tofu and trail mix.
That's right.
That's for sure, right? It was lamb, if I remember. So yeah, we're meat eaters, and if you eat meat, then you're part of that world. And I think hunting, again, I think I'm a bigger lover of animals because I hunt them. I have so much respect and empathy, and they've taught me.
That's the indigenous way too. That's the indigenous way as well. When I was in Peru, they had from guinea pigs to llamas, alpacas, for those who are Peruvian, and that it's part of the culture, and it's also part of an extension of the family. You're raising alpacas. The alpacas have the benefit of giving you the skin for the warmth, right, and the fur, which can be woven and make things and trade. And obviously then you have meat and you have milk, and the same thing. So, that where people have been conditioned, and I'm guilty right here for having fallen into that. Many of us have been fooled many lifetimes and generations in the last century, that this is wrong and this is right. Well, now we go back to embracing balance and harmony with Mother Nature as a whole, right? With these amazing technologies, whether it's pneumatic air, whether it is new sustainable ways to grow volumes of hemp, and then use that as well. By the way, real quick, as you were mentioning, Kevin, hemp sandals, hemp clothing, right? That's primarily what the indigenous and the natives all across North America, even up in the Pacific Northwest, where I was in Vancouver, their tribes were either from the cedar trees that are all the way up there, or from hemp. They were growing hemp.
Yeah.
Hemp. For thousands of years, it was natural, right? And so now we've got that's a fiber that allows you, whether it's leather from animal, you know, indigenous, or hemp. This is what you can walk upon the ground and you have your earthing. And I just posted a video to our Telegram here. Just, it's perfect. We're talking about this. We didn't have any setup on the earthing side, Kevin, that they're speaking in the video that they've got under the microscope that a 42-year-old man, for example, under microscope, he earthed for 10 grounded, folks. This is like putting your bare feet on the ground,
Right.
okay, literally on grass in the ground in his backyard for 10 minutes. And the effects of it 24 hours later were still shown under the microscope, because you immediately have that grab of the electrons from Earth, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a battery who charges everything, who walks upon her, lives upon her, and she gets hit with over 1,000 lightning strikes a second around the world. So this is a way for us to naturally remove inflammation from our system and our body, and it cleanses your blood. This was the video I just posted. Yeah. So again, when we have these products, not crappy rubber soles that are manufactured, you know, from stuff that we've taken a tree, we boil it down, we put these nasty products in it, chemicals, and we wear it or imbibe it, or we're drinking out of plastic. This isn't a glass, plastic glasses and imbibing it. No, hemp, right? Amazing. So.
Well, it's full circle again, all these connections. That's Huna again is secret. And what's the secret? It's these secret ancient cultural teachings that have been passed down for generation to generation that have been purposely destroyed. The monuments, the grid lines, this knowledge, how powerful you are, whoever's watching this video right now, you are a supreme being, man.
You are superhuman. Yeah,
you are.
We're all superhuman. They've tuned us down.
We've been dumbed down, and we're just starting to realize our potential again. And everybody watching has that potential. So that again is what a Huna is holding on to those cultural beliefs. And especially here in Vermont state, when we're talking hunting, we're talking hemp, and we're talking all these rights and liberties, right? That's these freedoms that we're talking about. Right. These are core values for us. And it is going back to that old school way. When you hear cancel culture, it's our culture they're talking about.
That's right.
That's talking about us now.
Well said.
Right?
Well
Just like the carbon footprint. That's you. You're made of carbon.
Yeah.
You are the problem. Right. Your government is telling you are the problem. We want to get rid of you, right? We got to reduce the carbon footprint. That should scare people if you really think about what they're telling you. And that's what I love about, you know, your show and all these other sources that we have, and where we're getting our information now, it's from regular people. Just like your guy in Texas. What do you got to show me? I'm excited about this video. Let's see what you got going on Tachyon Energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lead into this video is, so 24 hours after we did our last, what was it, 3 weeks ago? We were on here, Kevin, and talking about the Tachyon Energy and showing the spires of light, right? So my girlfriend went out for a run, not 24 hours after, she went out for a run. Okay, so, and again, she is a multi-time Ironman triathlete and a multi-time triathlon champion. She went out for a run, and for the entire hour, she was filming. It stayed in one place. It looks like a rainbow from this picture. I'm going to bring up some more pictures here, folks.
Awesome.
She saw this for the first time in her life. All of a sudden, these spires of light coming down from the clouds around her during the run. Here's another picture. Okay. And she had never seen it. Never seen this before, ever, right? She grew up in Michigan, living in Colorado for 2+ decades. All right. And folks, she's also a doctor. All right. She's a doctor. She's a Heart Math Institute consultant. She's going to be on the show here next week with Tracy Joe Jaco. We're going to do a, coffee time with these two benevolent women. I'm just going to sit back, when Tracy gets on, I'm just going to sit back and let the two of them go. Right. And maybe just run an egg timer. And that's all I need to say. And so we're talking about, she's science-based. She's also investigative, and she's also open to things as well. She's got a Reiki master, or her Reiki level 1 and 2. Okay. All of a sudden she's seeing this. Never seen before. So what I'm believing is, as the 100 monkey effect is happening, Kevin, where as we share on these shows, you go out and you share, and you're speaking to Citizen Vermont, you're on other people's shows and friends of ours and whatnot, all of a sudden these things awaken, right? The disclosure, if you want to, so to speak, we're actually activating ourselves, and our consciousness in our soul is remembering. It's kind of like sliding into place like a perfect parking spot and going, yep, you're almost there, but you had your blinders on and now you're awake and now you can see it, and boom, everything is fitting into place. And so remember, I'd sent you this, and Tracy, Joe, and a few of our other friends too. And now I'm connected with a few people around the world, including the Caribbean. Now, this one was 3 days ago in Greece.
Yeah. Wow.
A mutual friend of a friend. I don't know the person who took this photo, but I'm very good friends with the person of the friend who took this photo. And then let me bring up this video.
Before you leave that, show that one right there for a second, because if you're noticing right there, I believe that's the source of that is the ground. I don't believe that is coming from, you know, the sky down.
Me too. I believe it's coming up like a volcano, right? When it erupts.
Right. That's the
energy.
Yes, I believe that. Correct.
Yeah. And this is one of the things Tesla had spoken about in his documentation. Not only is it in the atmosphere of Earth, it's within her itself. It's within Earth, right? And there are these energy vortices, like Sedona, Arizona, people are familiar with. You and I have mentioned ley lines already a few times before. And those ley lines are the intersection points, like an acupuncturist on your body, folks. We all have meridians on our body. Why is it that you can do something on your ear and all of a sudden your sprained ankle on your right foot feels better, right? Well, you're releasing the energy or blocked energy, and Earth herself has that as well on a grid. We're not really taught that in school. We're just taught latitude and longitude for land navigation, and where do we call in artillery, and where do we dig our trench, and off we go. Let's get ready for Kosovo. So obviously my days back in the day, right in the 90s. So this video, dude, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So excited to share this with you. Let me pull this one.
We've got that Roman Catholic monastery in Mount Equinox in Manchester, Vermont.
Okay.
And I got that same energy beam coming right out of the center of that monastery. I took
Really?
it about a month and a half ago.
Really? Right. Oh wow, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think this is the tachyon that we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And this one is coming straight from the sky, what I'm about to share. So just try to set it up here on QuickTime. It's the darn QuickTime coming up. If not, fortunately, we can edit this and then bring it up. All right, so let me minimize. Come on.
A little bit behind the scenes action's not bad for your viewers either.
It says,
you know, we've been sharing a lot of really weird videos, and I'll be the first guy to tell you that I am not sure what these are. I've got a hypothesis, got some theories, and some pretty strong people behind me, right? I think it's tachyon energy, and for the viewers who weren't with us last time, tachyon energy is us. That is the power of your mind, positive thought, moving faster than the speed of light. And again, leads us back to the pyramids, which I think are the original amplifiers, these ley lines and grid systems. We see a lot of this built right into our old ancient architecture. We have transmitters and receivers and battery. You know, Barcelona, Spain, you've been there too, I think.
Yes.
Great example of all that. So that's what we're talking about when we say, you know, again, ancient is the same thing. You know, the idea that modern man's only 13,000 years old is ridiculous.
Totally.
We're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years old. And the land, the Huna, all the stuff we were talking about, we're talking about before Atlantis, the time of Lemuria, right? So again, this cancel culture that not a lot of people know about anymore because we've just been dumbed down. You weren't told, right? It's all coming back up. Are you able to pull up that video or no?
Got it ready to go. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic.
I just got to shut up for a minute. Let's see it.
Very good. Okay, great. So this was yesterday, came across on Telegram.
Check this out. Holy shit.
It goes on for a good minute, so watch.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Flipping out, dude.
Boy, that's weird.
Right? Wild. Wait for it.
That's fascinating already. Wait for it. Look at that thing.
Oh yeah. More to come.
That is incredible.
Yeah, that's on our Telegram yesterday, so I'll resend it over to you if you want to put it to your folks.
All right, you know,
But then you're going to see them split.
Well,
You're going to see it split, and now it's going to do like a double dance here. It's incredible.
wow. And have they given us a scientific, you know, ridiculous answer like they do for all the other ones, or what does the science say? And I laugh when I say that now
Yeah.
because I don't believe them anymore.
Yep. No bolts of lightning. You can hear the background. Now, in my limited experience in special effects studios, you know, if this is a deep fake video, it's an extremely good deep fake video.
No, you can see, and again, you know, you're a light guy because you do television production.
Yep.
There's something there.
There's something there, you know, from the foreground.
Yep,
from your foreground to your mid to your back, especially you, a quarter of a century in it and turning down many, many millions with NBC to run for your first time as governor. Man, yeah, it just there's way too much there, right? And so now I have it from the first direct experience with my partner, my queen, my girlfriend, Amy, who, again, folks, doctor, Heart Math Institute consultant, and a Reiki level 2, and an amazing mother. And here, and then we're just seeing all of these pop up all across the world, bringing this consciousness awareness into it. And then there was the other one I sent you from Russia, from Volgograd, Russia,
Right.
2 beautiful golden pillars, like light, beautiful golden pillars from the sky to the ground, you know, like beautiful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, this super rare phenomena that's not really rare.
Not rare and not a phenomenon. Yeah.
When we go back to our, you know, our cosmic crew meeting there, the idea behind that was literally just allowing us, you know, we had a sensational group of truthers there,
Mhm.
and we all had sensational stories, each to our own.
Right.
And just by telling that story,
Mhm.
it activates other people. Just like the first time I heard Kate, I was activated. And
Yep.
you, the viewer, whoever's watching this right now, you
Mhm.
are just as important as Brad or Kevin Hoyt. You have a story to tell.
Yep.
And it's the first time in history again where people can talk about this stuff and not get laughed out of the room or ridiculed, right? We've
Yep.
never been allowed to have these taboo conversations
Mhm.
until now, right? And I'm proud to not be afraid anymore. I'm proud to say, hey, no, we're just the messenger. I can, you know, again, I'm sharing videos just like you, Brad. You didn't record that, right? You're
Nope.
looking at that just like our viewers going, what the, you saw it. You saw it. WTF is this, right? And
Yeah.
the truth is, I'm sure a few people know, but I'm not one of them. I got a good idea what it is, and it's based on, again, on a bunch of theories and a whole bunch of other research, but we have to discover this ourselves. And
Mhm.
we're the messengers. So all the people out there going, these guys are absolutely crazy. We just showed you crazy videos. All we showed you. You guys
Yeah.
get to use your own determination and
Exactly.
decide what you think it is. But unlike, again, the majority of my life before, you know, last 5 or 6 years, I'm not believing them anymore. People, it's going to take more than just telling me.
Yeah.
I need to, especially their scientific answers that we were just laughing about. They're so convoluted and there's so much, you know, word salad and fancy. They're trying to just confuse the hell out of people like nobody knows.
Yeah.
They just say a bunch of fancy stuff and you go, oh, well, they're scientists. They must be right. They don't know either. They don't have any idea what's going on. And it's funny how wrong they've been lately. So that's where, again, I go back to the people. You know, I try to use my own discernment. I get fight. If I can get 2 or 3 sources, different sources that don't know each other that can say the same thing, that's
Mhm.
pretty good to me. I still don't believe it. I put it in the back of my head. And a smart person tries to get all the information before they make their own conclusion. You got to use your own critical thinking in this, right? But a lot of even our foundations, our belief systems are wrong. So I'm starting square one. I feel like a kindergartner again. And it's amazing how much I didn't know,
Mhm.
but I'm learning now, I'll tell you. And
There
I think that's
really is.
America too. People are
Really,
paying attention. We're watching for a change.
Most definitely, and there's a couple of that I've run across, amazing scientists and quantum physicists out there. And for anybody who's listening to this podcast or watching this broadcast, and I'll share with you when the words quantum and the word physics comes up, this is not new. This has been around for a long time. And in my personal experience, when I started at Research in Motion BlackBerry, and for many people here, they'll remember that. And then other people will be like, what is it? It was before we had the ability to call a phone, FaceTime, just like the Jetsons. It was a little pager and it had the QWERTY keyboard. You could send and receive wireless email. Now, our co-founder, a guy named Mike Lazaridis in 2001, shut down Canadian Parliament for 2 days because he said, I want to create a nonprofit institute called the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics. And he donated $400 million. He was a billionaire, right? BlackBerry at the time, if you remember, Kevin. 1999, 2000. I was there. I was employed 364. I always remember that. It's like same days of the year, 364. So here's the thing. I remember hearing there and going when, over the 2-3 more years I was working at RIM and going around the world. I remember showing up and they're like saying words like string theory and interdimensional and quantum physics, right, time travel and God particles. Right. Now, in our first show, as we showed the audience, tachyon energy is defined as the only particle that doesn't have a frequency, the God particle, the angel particle, the ability, like Dr. Joe Dispenza has said in his book, Becoming Superhuman, the ability where your thought then influences. And Kevin has just said this 20 minutes ago, your thoughts are things. We've heard, Earl Nightingale say it in The Strangest Secret. I had that was one of my first personal development tapes in 2000. Strangest Secret, thoughts are things. That came from the science of Think and Grow Rich, and that was borrowed from The Science of Getting Rich, which Wallace D. Waddell wrote in 1905. So this stuff has been around. Now we're just, again, bridging the esoteric and ancient and the quantum with the science, right? Or the spiritual with the kind of science that goes, yeah, it's not really magic. So what you're seeing is something that you may have remembered if you believe in past lifetimes, or you're hearing us right now. Or at the very least, we appreciate you still staying on and watching and listening to this. And perhaps maybe tomorrow you'll go for a run 24 hours from now. And like my girlfriend, boom, all of a sudden you see a rainbow, but it's a rainbow that doesn't move. And then it just bolts of light, just beautiful bolts of light, not lightning bolts, which arc, but perfect columns and shafts of light go up and down. And you can take that picture on your iPhone, your smartphone. Incredible. Really
the rainbow
time. Yeah.
The rainbows we've been seeing are rainbow again. I don't know if they're ships or time capsules is a new theory that I have here. We've all seen a lot of weird things that we're looking at. We talked about
the highest amount of UFO activity in Vermont.
Yeah.
We have a Glastonbury and a Manchester there.
We've got, again, we got a Woodstock too. We got lots of areas. Killington Peak is another one. We've
great.
Entire New York, Vermont border is ancient, Druid cairns, right? The rock piles. Like there's a lot here. The first Bigfoot sighting, the first UFO sighting, and again, if you go into the Huna part of that, where you're looking at, the land and the water and how things flow, then Vermont's a very important piece of this puzzle too. Just like whoever's watching, again, you've got a story. That's an important piece of the puzzle. So this is literally just sharing. Have you seen something strange in the sky? Have you been abducted? As crazy as that is, and a lot of people are afraid to tell those stories. There's millions and millions of people now that are coming out. And yeah, I've seen a Bigfoot. Yeah, I've done, I haven't personally, but I absolutely believe in them. I've seen signs all over, right? And I've done enough research to know that it's not an ape. And rather than talk about, it's the same thing. We're caught in these same boxes and distractions, diversions. Rather than talk about dermal ridges or metatarsal breaks for the next 10 years, I want to know why our government's lying to us.
Yeah.
Like, we know they're there. Everybody knows now. There's enough evidence. There's thousands, tens of thousands of eyewitnesses. I'm not going to call those people liars. I'm going to believe the people this time. And I want to know why our government is lying to us about all these things. When you call the FBI with any problem in the world, they can assist you. They're the FBI, right? There's a phone number that the FBI calls. If you call the FBI and report a Bigfoot or a UFO, there's a number that the FBI calls.
Like
just
the Men in Black.
two things. Yeah, that's a real thing. You know,
Wow.
and again, when I first heard that, I'm like, you're kidding. Then I talked to a couple of my Fed friends. That's a true thing.
Wow.
They have to call somebody, right? And they wouldn't tell. They don't even know who they're calling. It's an amazing thing. And I think all this is coming out now, where people can actually call, and rather than worry about the government and what they're lying to us, let's just build our own puzzle. If you got a crazy story, I want to hear it.
Yeah,
maybe
Smithsonian has their own SEAL Team 6 Delta unit, guys. Maybe, you know,
we're in the middle of some incredible, historic, unprecedented times, and you know, I can't tell you what's going to happen. People ask me all the time, well, what's going to happen? I don't know. The truth is nobody knows, because we've never done this before.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. We haven't got this far before in our lifetime.
Yeah. No, how exciting.
Any of the lifetimes. This is the furthest we've come on this world in these lifetimes.
I think so too. I think we've tried this as humans several times before in the past. And I think this time we're going to get it right. In fact, I'm watching it. I'm seeing it happen. And I don't know
what happened in Cheyenne when I was speaking. So
and again, you don't have to be a psychic deer hunter like me. Everybody watching this show can feel it. I know they can.
And it was all caught on film and shared on the Telegram.
Yeah.
7 minutes into the presentation. Then we had 15 minutes. You know, that's real. That was caught on film. This is what, seven days ago, right?
Yeah.
We're recording.
Every day I wake up, Brad, and go, oh my God, what happened today? And it's funny because I've been so busy lately. I'm not even watching the other truthers. I'm not watching news. I've just been doing my own. I've been doing. I'm too busy doing to even research anymore, but I don't have to look for trouble. I've said that for a long time. You called me today, right? Trouble just finds me, all these incredible discoveries. And once, you know, I have to give credit to the people. Again, this isn't, you know, I'm a conduit. That's it. I'm just a spokesman. I'm a guy you get to see on TV or somebody's show. But a lot of my information is coming from people. This isn't just me. It's regular people. And when you stand up for friends and neighbors, the first thing that happens is you get 10,000 horror stories because they've all been screwed by the system and they think you can help. But beyond that, they become your information sources. I get so much different information from so many people, and then trying to cipher your way through that and find out what's real and not what's real and try to confirm it. I mean, when I go public with something, I've got documentation, especially when I'm calling out judges and senators. You have to.
You have to. Yeah, you can't just wing it.
Right. If I were talking about these crimes, these felony crimes, these major things, and some of them, we're talking about crimes against humanity. We're talking about high treason and sedition. And to remind people, they execute people for that. I'm just going to remind you, right? These are all very, very real things. And when I come out and, you know, accuse someone on national television or even in public, you better be, you know, I got my paperwork and stuff backed up, and that's why I'm still here. That's why I'm not. Nobody sued me for defamation. They don't even deny it. They just run.
They run. And it's amazing too on your Telegram to watch. Just it's almost daily. You've got 2 or 3 videos you pump out, and you're going and you're approaching it. And I mean, just recently, it was yesterday. It was the governor's debate, and you know they didn't put you on the ticket on purpose, even though you are a candidate for governor of Vermont the 3rd time. And here we are, you show up to the debate, you're like, hey, I'm probably the only one, and these are my words, you're probably the only governor who's shown up to their own debate in the last century in the United States of America, the 1776 United States of America, not the 1871 United States Corporation. FYI, people read that. And you got a buck in the back of your truck because you had harvested and hunted. And we can't get more real life. You're like, listen, I've got all this stuff and I'm providing evidence on a RICO case against human trafficking, child trafficking, drug trafficking, embezzlement, fraud, election fraud, you name it. And then, you know what, by the way, I just came out because I'm a real person and this is going on. And then you show up to the debate and you kick it off and you crush it. And you're following these guys around and you're like, tell me why, you made this vote, right? And they just duck and cover. Even that little newsboy from the Digger of Vermont, recently, you just watch the guilt. You watch the guilt
Can see it.
face. You can see guilt. The guilt immediately happens and they bolt.
They do. And again, I'm going to repeat for everybody that, watches and follows me, those videos, when I go there, I'm not expecting answers.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting them to do anything about it. And who thinks they're going to go, oh, you're right, Kevin. We've been robbing and cheating the people for years and stealing. They're not going to, okay? Get that out of your head. They have to deny it. They cannot tell you the truth, right? But these videos are for you guys, not just your entertainment.
Yeah.
So you can see. Right. I've got the evidence. We go to the person. This is person to person, first contact, the source. And I say, what can you tell me? You guys get to see that. You get to determine for yourself what guilt looks like. And when they run, when they dart into traffic, we're talking about the governor's debate, both two candidates, the top Democrat and the top Republican, are running from me. They are afraid to debate me. This last one at Thunder Road, again, it's a race car track. This is the end of the season. Again, it's Vermont. We call it the Milk Bowl, right? Yeah. And that's the end of the season race. And it's a big tradition. The politicians go there and we throw cow chips, which are cow patties, right, at a target. And you talk about Vermonty, the fact that I showed up with a deer in the back, we had to report it. We have reporting stations here. So legally, I had to take that deer with me because I wasn't going to be back in time to report it. Yeah. So yes, I showed up with a deer in the back, which is kind of funny, but I was the only one there. And I think it's very important to know who is not there. And in this case, Governor Phil Scott is a race car driver. That's what this guy does as a hobby. And he didn't show up at Thunder Road because I was there. Just like when we have debates. We just had a debate recently where they set up the debate around Governor Scott's schedule. This is Channel 17 News here in Vermont State. So they set it up, everything was set, then they send out invitations. 2 days later, I was the first guy to confirm, I'm in, I'll debate. And Governor Scott dropped out within an hour. And then an hour before the debate actually happened, Brenda Segal, who is the top Democrat, dropped out. The media, again, this debate they just had by Vermont Digger this Friday, I wasn't invited to. The media picks, and they tell us, the media, picks the top two candidates, the Democrat and the Republicans, but you don't get to hear about the other three. And this isn't about just Kevin Hoyt either. I think as a citizen,
let's just hear what everybody has to say.
All five, there's five of us, is that too many for you? All five people went through the headache, the money, the expense. We got our signatures. We did all this labor and work. And then how dare the media? What right did they have to determine who you get to hear from, who you get to see? That's outrageous. And again, I'm filing suit this week actually for election interference against Vermont Digger, WCAX, I think the Bennington Banner, because we got to hold these guys accountable for that. Right? We have to. So demand fair debates and fair elections from your media and from your authorities. And if you got evidence, take it to them. That's what you're supposed to do. You find a scandal, bring it to your authorities. I recommend you video it for the rest of us so we can laugh and enjoy the show too. But that's what I've been doing. And I've seen that now. 5 years ago, I was Crazy Kevin. I was the only guy on the front line. And that sucked because there's a million guys. And they all got me to focus on. I'm the only target up there. Well, I'm not the only target anymore. There's a lot of other people that are standing up too.
Standing up.
I just parked my car, and again, I'm back in my hometown of Bennington. Just been here a couple of days. They found my car and flattened another tire. I can't even live in my home. Right. I've been exiled from my town because of property damage, number one, but the harassment and intimidation, and it's more for people around me than me. But again, it's kind of fun playing the role that I'm in now because I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere. These guys don't know where to find me. I just pop into one of their pig roasts or their events every once in a while and shoot a quick live video at you guys. I am still in court. We got lots of court stuff going on, but that's the same. I'm in a rigged system. You know, fighting a corrupt system within the same corrupt system, and it's probably not going to work out. The same for the elections, to be honest. We just talked a lot about elections. I'm an election I don't think we're going to have. Not in November anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
and we're just a
predicting
few weeks away.
January.
You're also
We're
fighting
still
for the kids too, and I really appreciate that. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I shared with yourself and with Vivian just 3-4 days ago, and I know you were out in the bush, and it was the high school there in Vermont, who the girls volleyball team. These are grade 9 volleyball team girls, a transgender student. Folks, you know, at grade 9 what that means? It means a boy who puts on a skirt and walks in and says, I want to change with all of you girls. Right now, this is, and if you're watching the old movie Porky's, okay, well, that might have been funny back then, you know. And by the way, I'm not advocating Porky's, but just an example. These days, you know, this is not a movie, this is real life. And what did they do? What did they do? I'll tell you what they did, because I went through the article and I went to the school and I checked it out online. Anybody can do this. What did they do? They banned the girls from the girls' change room because they weren't compliant with the new.
Isn't that
what do you
funny?
call the? This is the news. It's the woke agenda, right?
Yeah, get your kids.
So the entire team of girls were banned from changing because they wouldn't comply.
Yeah.
This is the insanity that we're living in under those types of structures that I appreciate you're going to change. And there still have those clinics where there's young kids need to get the jabs. Again, that's why the Root Brands is the only thing I've ever in my entire life, nearly half a century on this planet, said this is absolutely working. And we've seen all the clinical data, which shows it not only reverses the poison of the jabs, but like Ahuna and Reiki Master, it energizes our biosphere. It literally is. That's why I call it the armor of God. I call it that. They don't in the marketing. I call it the limitless pill because it's the very first quantum nootropic. Imagine what our kids, how much they have when they can walk around feeling like they've got this invisible armor of God in their biosphere, you know, because mom and dad, whether they were coerced, they thought they were doing the right thing, they got the jab, but they're working around people and you're still picking up the hydras, you're still picking up like Lois Herman, right? You know, we can see in the auras in the Carillion photography, everybody's aura is completely changed. There's holes in the aura, there's metallics, there's spikes, there's weird black things that swim around the aura. And you can take a picture with Carillion photography and you can see it all. She has it. This is one of the things I shared and Cheyenne on the Truth Tour. And so we need to save the kids from everything. We need to save them from the trafficking. We need to save them from these agendas. We need to save them from that insanity. And we need to provide them with the nourishment, body, mind, and soul that allows them to tap into their superhuman abilities and be a far greater generations ahead than we ever were walking this planet right in our incarnation.
I think the new kids, the kids that are being born now within the last decade or two, are special kids. I think they're smarter, they're more equipped, they're adept, and I think they're here for a reason. Just like I mean, it took me 50 years to figure it out, you know, almost 50, before I realized what I was here for. Now I know, right? I think my whole life has been prepared for this, and I feel so unworthy when I say this, but God sent me. You know, historically, he chooses the oddest of characters, and I am a flawed man. I'm a sinner. I'm far from perfect, right? I know this is what I'm supposed to do, and it's bigger than Kevin Hoyt or Vermont or United States and Donald Trump. This is a world thing. This is about our home. It's about humanity, right? It has nothing to do with an election for me. I could care less about that job, to be honest. When I say that, I think I'm qualified. I've accepted it, and I'm ready to do it. And just like, I didn't get the title. They cheated me in 2020. I don't have the job. I definitely ain't getting the paycheck, but I'm doing it. I'm still doing the job, and I'm doing that for the right reasons. And I self-identify as the governor of Vermont State. So we can identify. You just talked about the schools. Here in Vermont State, we have furries, right? We have people who identify as pets. The schools are actually putting litter boxes, right, in some of the schools. Get your kids out of those schools, man. That's optics. You don't we don't need parental consent. We're going to do whatever we want with your kids while they're in school. If that's not scary enough for you to yank your kids, I mean, you really should be looking at your own personal, family and your own personal lives Do you use school to educate your children, or is it a daycare service?
Yeah.
Because if it's a daycare service, you got to reevaluate your life and what's going on. Your mission is to protect and raise those kids to succeed in life, just like your government's mission was to protect you. It's their only job. They failed, miserable.
Yeah.
So we got to provide a new government, and it's already happening, Brad. We become the news. I'm
Yes.
watching people yank their kids, the smart people, out of the schools,
Mhm.
homeschooling, charter schools, private schools. That's the future. We're
And
watching
go off the
whole
officials with the
medicine.
bonds. They're going after the teachers and the officials with the bonds because that threatens them, right? It's like, well, maybe you can put me in jail, take for the bonds, the money, and I'll be bankrupt. Holy smokes.
Right. No, that's it. Isn't that funny? It's always
Violating.
about the money. And it shouldn't be about the money.
No.
This is our children. You talked about that. That is
Yeah.
the most vulnerable, precious part of our society. That literally is our future. That's not
Yeah.
just the song, right? And yeah, it's about saving the kids.
Yeah.
All of these horrible rabbit holes that I've gone down. And again, some of the stuff, it's undeniably unbelievable that we're talking about. The embezzlement and the human trafficking and money laundering and all this stuff. It all goes back to child abuse. It all goes back to pedophilia. It goes back to cannibalism. It goes back to some crazy stuff that we've never talked about. And a lot of people, their minds aren't ready for that.
Yeah.
It's a horrible subject. You
Yeah.
know, when you get into that rabbit hole, I'll also recommend to people to get out of it because it's consuming. It makes me want to bear arms, makes me angry.
Yeah.
Then I find out that they're doing these things to our kids, and
Yeah.
it'll make everybody angry. I'm a pretty mild, laid back guy, so
Mhm.
that rabbit hole is consuming. It's deep and dark, and when you're in it, you get deep and dark with it. It makes you want to hurt people, or at least me. I'm speaking for myself, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
get in there, find out what you need to know. Once you can verify that it was real and it's happening, then get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, go on back. And I tried that. That was originally my goal, but for some reason, God keeps pulling me back.
Yeah.
Whether it's the pedophile art at Castleton College, right? That's Bernie's college, where
Mhm.
Bernie Sanders goes, or the connection with Bernie and Voodoo Donuts, or you can talk about Patrick Leahy and Molly Gray and the connection with Haiti. Giant connection between Vermont State and Haiti,
Yeah.
right? And again, we're talking Ukraine. The Ukraine is the human trafficking hub of the world. It's been that way for a long time, right? So all the people that we support Ukraine flags in the front lawn, you really ought to reconsider. Even in Western media, Ukraine was the bad guy until this war just happened. They've been raping and murdering and pillaging their own people for years. And I stand with the people of Ukraine, but their government, I think, is the Khazarian mafia, and I don't think it's even Putin. Whoever's playing Putin is taking him out, and I like that guy. I'm pro. Again, global movement. Television's not real. We tell
Yeah.
our children that. So we got to start thinking for ourselves and putting our own puzzle together, because what they're telling us just isn't true, man. We got a lot of exciting things coming though. Not only the exposure and all the stuff here, but again, we just talked about a lot of new technologies and a lot of advancements for humanity, not just Vermonters. And I'll be so proud that Vermont gets to unleash that on the world. And I think, as always, the rest of the nation follows us. We're this little tiny state. A lot of people don't know where we are. We got 3 electoral votes, but historically, again, when something happens in Vermont, it's a precedent, and it's carried right on. Usually New York will follow right on throughout the United States. And I used to be proud of that progressive movement, whether
Yeah.
it was human rights or conservation or whatever it was. Vermont was always at the forefront, right? If it wasn't for Vermonters, y'all be speaking with an English accent and drinking tea right now.
That's
So you
right.
better
That's where
remember
your
that.
family comes from. That's your lineage.
Right.
You guys have been there since the Hoyts have been there since the 16th century.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Fighting back
Bennington,
against that tyranny.
we were founded under British rule, the town of Bennington, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So again, it's a whole lot bigger than this. Is the same rights, it's the same freedoms, in my case, on the very same soil. And that
Correct.
soil's got Hoyt blood in it,
Mhm.
because my family fought and died. Likewise, the only time we've ever had to use the Second Amendment ever, right, to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude, in case anybody remembered, right? With guns, we use guns to take back our own government, corrupt government, to do that. And in Vermont and the Hoyts, we led the way in that one too. So I'm proud. It's in my blood, and I'm not bragging. These mountains are filled filled with brave patriots, and we're just waiting for the signal, I think.
Yep. And again, it all comes back to freedom for humanity everywhere, and everybody doing their part, you know, on the world stage, their community. Your community is the state, and it just so happens that your state is one of the hubs in America for the most entrenched, deepest, dirtiest stuff that's ever happened, and flowing in, through, and out of there as a corridor. And so thank you, my friend, for what you're doing. You're literally a hero for humanity by putting it out there on the line 5 years in, you know, and going after that.
And I've been over my head for 4.5 years, but I don't think that, you know, Vermont state is rare in those. You know, I think we're an exception because we're a small state. We got 600,000 people, and it's a great control area to test all these freaky government, you know, things that they're doing, and just insane. And it's really, really deep as far as the corruption. They own everything from the clerks to the appeals courts and banking, even the private sector's involved. But I think that's every state.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think this is every town USA. And I think, again, the viewers watching this, you've had the experience in your town. You start with your own house, clean up your own house, and then you clean up your town. You can go to the state level, the national and world level. And that's the quantum thing. There's billions and billions of us now. You're not alone, man. You are not alone. You're not the only person on the planet that thinks this way. There's millions of us. There's millions of us.
And this isn't a Vermont issue. This is not a American issue. This is not a Canadian issue. It's extreme in Canada as well, right? Canada is a communist country right now at your northern border in the United States, folks. It is a global issue, from the UK to the African continent to Asia. It is global, and it continues. And every facet of what you've heard Kevin speak of right now is happening globally and has been happening globally. He is just one of the people around the world who has been fighting the fight and putting it in front of people every single day on his own, with Telegram, and before that, Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, and coming off and sharing with people and creating that groundswell. And I really appreciate you for that. So yeah, everybody needs to freaking stand up, do their play.
Three-quarters of the world,
learn.
3/4 of the world doesn't have governments right now.
Yeah,
pick a country,
amazing. Yeah.
Pick a country, there's 1 million people riding. Greece, France, Spain, Russia, name it, right? We're a mess, guys, right? It looks scary. And again, don't fall for that fear porn, though. Don't get caught up in that optics, right? I mean, we're winning, and people got to realize that. And, you know, be proud and don't be afraid. I don't think they can really harm us anymore. And, you know, it takes brave patriots. That's what it takes. So I know they're out there watching this show.
Yeah.
So I encourage them. It's as simple as talking.
Yes.
Warn your friends and neighbors. Tell others.
Yeah, it's 3 things. It's listen and look into it. Listen, look into it, share. That's just very simple, and that's powerful. That's that 100 monkey effect we were talking about. That's a minimum. Minimum.
It is. Somebody can hear and relate. And you know, the first time I went to a select board meeting, it was me. And then the second time, there's 4 or 5 people. Then there was a dozen, and then there was 20, and then they had to cancel because of COVID. So this works, guys, right? All you got to do, you know, and at the same time, it works, but it doesn't work. We're pushing them into hiding. I've been at a school board meeting with 75 screaming parents on critical race theory. Guess what? We still got critical race theory. Didn't change a thing, right? So again, that's where you need the leadership part, and you know, run for office, write some letters, make a phone call. If you're, you know, above and beyond talking and sharing, anybody can do this stuff, right? And it's your duty, actually. So I think we're probably pushing the time limit, aren't we, buddy?
We are. We're having a lot of fun, mate. So yeah.
I could talk forever.
An hour here. It's great.
Full of Jason Q. We'll go for 8 hours. No, I appreciate it. That was a great conversation.
And yeah, Kevin, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we're pushing it over an hour. It's a lot of fun. So tell everybody where they can find you, even though I've had the link scrolling here, and the best place to help you out and keep this crazy train rolling.
Keep it rolling. I love that. And I love that it's not me driving the crazy train anymore. Somebody else has, you know, got the steering wheel half the time here. But yeah, that's fighting for our freedoms on Give, Send, Go, right? Or if you just look up Kevin Hoyt, that's Hoyt, just like the bow manufacturer. on Facebook, on Telegram, on Rumble,
Yeah.
and on great shows like the Sovereign Soul. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, you got it. And then also Boston this week, he'll be coming up and hanging out with our good friends Lewis and everybody at the Truth Tour in Boston coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Remember, you've listened, look into it, if whatever resonates, and definitely share and keep these conversations forward. That helps us win and move the ball down the court a lot faster. So we win totally. And we're almost there. Thank you everybody for watching, listening. All the best. God bless.
Billions of years. Over to you, my girl, and congratulations on your book. Look forward to getting it. And the #1 best-selling author, award-winning author. Here we go. Brand new minted.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God.
for being back.
I found out that the actual writing of the book was the easiest part. It took me 20 years to write. Roots was amazing again, because I have extreme ADD and I could never sit still. And that product was amazing because it really allowed me to focus in and sit for hours at a time. I'm 5 months, 6 months of writing nonstop.
Yeah.
If you're looking for groundbreaking nutritional products that revolutionize the way your body operates, you have to check out this cutting-edge nutrition brand, Root. The Trinity Pack Plus is a game changer. Let me show you. Zero In is the world's first quantumceutical, an all-natural adaptogenic nootropic that skyrockets clarity and creativity. Restore is the supplement that completely restores your gut health and optimizes your true brain. And last but not least, Clean Slate sweeps out heavy metals, including graphene oxide, gently evacuating toxins from the body to increase performance, longevity, and quality of life. Register now at therootsbrand.com/soul to get your Trinity Pack Plus
And to learn more about the Sovereign Soul Show's mission to save 100 million children.
and how to get rewarded for being a part of the Root community. See you there.
Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.